discussion we were?
Maybe.
Mansur?
Yeah, let Mansur.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just brief him where we were.
So
then.
I just asked the question. I don't think he has answered. The question was.
Where the universe came from.
Yeah,
You can
exactly.
join in, Mansur and Hashim.
It's okay.
That's fine. It's only fair one.
Well, I mean, I suppose you've heard of the Big Bang Theory, which is what I believe is probably the best one. I'm not a physicist, I can't lay it out for you as well as somebody who studied it can, but
So the Big Bang.
idea goes that, time and space sort of locked into one, so that there's nothing actually before the Big Bang. It's
Well,
space and time.
There's a difference between there's nothing and we don't know what is before the fact.
Of course,
so-
but like when you say before,
Yeah.
you're assuming time as I presume we understand it right now in terms of minutes and hours and days.
Yeah, so time is a concept.
It is, yes.
It's a concept of, for example, when change happens from A to B,
Yeah,
that means you know time has elapsed.
yes, but if you were to imagine that space and time is folded into one, then you would have to presume that you would.
Might be too far.
Oh, okay.
That's fine. So what I was saying is that when you say Big Bang, I mean, first and foremost, we need to understand whether the Big Bang is the cause or the effect.
Oh, of course.
What would you say?
Let's put it this way: it's totally possible that there's some creator who created the Big Bang, and from there, billions of years unfolded until humans came along. From our best archaeological evidence, like how old is civilization hold, how deep do we dig in the ground to find bones of humans and so on. But you do see there's something a little bit dissatisfactory about the explanation that a creator is watching this unfold for that many years
What is
before the humans come along, which he is then so.
why is it unsatisfactory? You think that humans are entitled to be there from the beginning?
No, it's more like if you were to imagine yourself as a creator who's trying to create these humans, who's trying to lay down a moral codex for them to follow. They can get into paradise. They can.
No, I was talking about in terms of the human creation and prior to the human creation.
Yes.
Maybe there were other creations which had abilities like the humans, a free will to think, to do things
It's possible that the same creator has also
exactly.
been trying to instruct various kinds of insects or
Yeah, absolutely. Everything.
creatures in the deep sea or something.
For example, if I were to ask you, do you know the language of the birds?
No, of course
No.
not.
In the morning, I don't know if you actually experience this, but people who wake up very early in the morning, they hear the birds singing.
Oh, of course.
Yes, and this is like you go anywhere in the world. It is something which you experience all around the globe.
Mm-hmm.
And at a particular time, like very early in the morning. And then there is another time in the evening, just before the sun goes down, you hear this same thing again. And according to the Quran, Allah says that all the creatures, they actually praise God Almighty. So maybe this singing is a form of their praising God.
It could be.
Yeah.
I think you could, and I'm sure many biologists do study these birds, and they figure out which ones are mating calls, which ones are various forms of alarm calls, social calls. But,
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
But I'm sure what you would then say is that maybe all of that is somehow part of the divine.
So
right?
there's difference between the morning when they all sing in kind of unison and the mating calls, because I don't think they all mate at the same time in the morning and evening.
Oh yeah.
So that's something that we can actually rule out. But yeah, you're right. There are different types of calls. That's like we have different languages and different ways of expressing ourselves with different sounds and different emotions, even our facial features.
But I don't know,
depending-
are you suggesting that there are some bird sounds or that we have not accounted for?
Absolutely. I don't think we have even found all the birds, if you ask me.
That's
Every
possible,
time they'll
but
find a new species or something. Same thing with the seas and with the oceans.
Yes, but if you
And-
were to take a nightingale or some other songbird of particular beauty, or even seagulls or whatever, do you think they haven't, biologists and zoologists and so on, haven't mapped out
studied
what
it.
they're saying, or?
I doubt they actually mapped out the actual wording, what they're saying. But
Oh.
they might have based on the studies, they might say, okay, like you said, this is a mating call, or this particular is when it's in distress,
Yeah.
or something like that. I'm not saying that's impossible. That's possible based on the observation. But I'm saying as generic as a language, like the way you and I speaking English, to have a conversation without, let's say if somebody was to observe us and he didn't know English, then they wouldn't be able to make out what we're talking about.
Of course,
They can still, based on our expressions and our tone and so on, they say, okay, this is the time when they're happy, this is the time when they are more excited or more angry or something. So yeah, you can infer from the expressions, from the tone, from the language even. They can still do that. But the reason I asked you about the birds is that because we as Muslims, we believe that not only that God created us, but God created all the things, including the birds, the animals,
Of course.
including the humans. And each species, each of them, they have their own purpose.
Yeah.
So as human beings, we have been given a purpose. And
I'm sorry, is it like the Bible where it's in 6 days?
yeah, but when you say 6 days, do you understand that as 24-hour days?
So that's a very good question, yeah.
So we don't actually.
Yeah, okay.
We don't believe these are 24 days. And we don't know how each period lasts. But we have a rough idea. But it's not something that's 24-hour days.
Why do you suppose it is written that it is 6 days if it's not for us to understand it as 6 days?
A day in the sight of your God could be 1,000 years.
Ah.
This number of years in reckoning.
Sometimes 50,000
How
years.
sometimes 50,000 when the affairs goes up to him in how many years.
And-
so Islam provides a concept of relativity of time.
Okay. Yeah, that's very good.
So you see, time again is like Brother Mansur said, it's relative. So when you say, because many cosmologists they think time started with the Big Bang,
Yes.
yes, but
Well, I think they think that it's.
because that's the only
I think
point
they
can
think
measure
that
it from.
what constitutes time
Yeah.
is part of it, which is
But
not
that's-
quite the same as to say that there couldn't be anything before the Big Bang. It's just that it wouldn't be before in the same sense that we use.
Yeah, because
before,
they don't know what's before.
With respect to
So
time
they have
now.
not-
Where does the multiverse come in the concept of time?
I'm not sufficiently educated on
now
physics in order
we
to
have
be
models
able
of-
to explain multiverse
We
theory.
have models of multiverse, which will also include time prior to our time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, I suppose so.
So that
I
means-
don't know if that's.
That means when these mathematical models are put forward, we will trying to have verification empirically. Okay, this is something that's an ongoing research that's going on in physics. But if you have a concept of multiverse, that means the time didn't start with our Big Bang. Okay, there's always been time prior to our Big Bang. So now it comes down to what is in the time, because even in our Big Bang model of time,
Yes.
because the moment you say there was this singularity and then something happened, some kind of explosion or expansion and inflation, this is a change already. The moment you talk about the change, the changes are the measure of time. So you're actually using time to say there is no time. That's what the conundrum, I think, is. Because you can't say there is no time when you're actually saying there was this singularity. When you say there was a singularity and then something happened, that is time. So when was time absent in this equation?
Because time is a
I'm
concept.
not
isn't
sure
it?
that's exactly how they conceptualize it.
I think the
which
point.
one? Which string theory of time do they subscribe to, the physicists?
The point
Again,
about the multiverse.
I couldn't
Yeah,
possibly.
So that's what I'm saying.
but
Time, the concept of time is not as simple concept as people think it to be.
oh yes,
Even
there we agree. But
yeah. So even the issues of, for example, when we say this thing happened and the world as it is, the physical constants that just came, they can see through it that there is transformation that happened that is so precise and harmonious. It's like a precision engineering. And yet they're saying, no, there's no designer behind it. Everywhere in the world, anything that you see in physics, chemistry, biology, you see precision engineering. You require an engineer, a designer. But when it comes to the cosmos, the overall scheme of things that are happening, there is no design. That is a
I
side state
think
of affairs.
when you look around planet Earth and you look at the biological structures here,
Yeah.
you see something absolutely incredible. So incredible that it is difficult, I would argue, to believe that it is not somehow designed. However, when you look up at the night sky and you see the, I don't know how many stars, with planets around them, presumably barren of all life, doesn't it make you feel a little like
Insignificant.
insignificant for sure, but like you're saying precision engineering.
Yeah.
However,
All of these things will have precision engineering.
no,
Why not?
because they form by very simple premises of gravity.
That's where I'm saying this is something that doesn't make sense scientifically. Look, any transformation to happen, it needs to be followed through by the operating laws within it. When you have certain chemicals coming together, you can't have sodium and chlorine molecule coming together and forming a salt, sodium chloride. There has to be a law that governs the interaction of attraction, of repulsion, and so on. So the law is fundamental to their behavior.
Sure.
Right.
We can talk about the laws, or
Let's-
we can talk about what has happened
Let's
within the laws.
let's talk about the operational law.
Okay.
The law
Slightly
is an
different
abstract
discussion.
thing.
Yeah.
The law is not self-conscious, self-aware, intelligent, conscious.
Of course.
The law does not enforce things into concrete reality. So how does that happen? How does an abstract law enforce its, whatever it entails, into a concrete reality? If I write an equation of theory of relativity, or E equals mc squared, or any of these laws, F equals whatever, laws of force and or force of gravity. If I write any of the physical laws in a piece of paper, that writing itself cannot enforce anything. Because it's just a description of the operating laws within our physical universe.
Yes.
How does the law become enforced in physical reality in concrete from the abstract?
I don't think anyone can answer that question.
We can. Scientists are very in denial because you cannot have these laws by themselves operating and enforcing. Like you can't have the laws of the traffic and highway code bringing by themselves, enacting it and enforcing it. No, there has to be an external agency with knowledge
Those are two
and
very different
intent.
sorts
No, I'm
of
just
laws.
giving you an example. An external agency of knowledge, possessing knowledge, volition and intention and capability to bring this and assemble these laws together and put it in place and try to enforce it. Physical laws, they themselves are not conscious. So they cannot say, oh, you have to attract each other because this is the laws of attraction or this is the laws of electromagneticity, because these are what? Abstract concepts. So where do we find concrete reality being manifested from abstract laws? Unless there is a transforming agent, a lawgiver, controlling and manifesting this into reality.
Okay, let's think about it this way. You are simply trying to figure out what is true in this world.
Okay, I'm listening.
You start, I don't know when you start, with the ancient Greeks or whatever, who look at planets moving across the sky.
Okay.
And in order for a theory to be good, it has to explain the most and assume the least.
Okay.
Do you understand this principle?
I can
Like
go
if
by it.
I,
No, I can go by it.
Yeah,
no
yeah.
problem.
So, when physicists try and figure out how this whole thing came about, they're operating by those principles. They're trying to explain as much as they can by assuming very, very small things,
Like,
gravity, for instance.
what are the fundamental assumptions of our science that we have to, from the start, have at our disposal to do any experimentation, to do any science? There are some basic fundamental assumptions of science. What are those?
Well, empiricism, for instance, you have to be able to measure
No,
what you are
empiricism
looking
is not an assumption. Empiricism is a method.
Uh-huh.
We use this method of observation, testing, and inferences and so on. But what are the assumptions, fundamental assumptions of science? Without these assumptions, you cannot do science.
at. That there is some truth, perhaps? Is that what you're getting at? That there is truth in the world that you can even
Because
get at?
without doing experiments themselves,
Uh-huh.
you are already taking them axiomatic, your assumptions. Without this, science cannot be done. You are assuming the universe, the reality, the cosmos is rational. This is a basic assumption. Without this, you cannot operate anything. Because you can't say like, oh, everything haphazard. It doesn't have to be rational. It doesn't have to make any sense. It doesn't have to have any explanation. Everything is just nothing. No.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Science
We can agree.
make that assumption that the universe is rational, follows certain rational. There's a cause and effect. Yep. Without a cause and effect principle, none of these things work. Now, where did that all come from? These principles that you take it for granted. We haven't done any experiments to establish that. Axiomatically true. So that's why I'm saying when we have the observation of our universe, look, any transformation, I'll give you an example first. Transformation. You sit in front of your computer and you don't make any intention and you place your hands like that on the keyboard and it says, I hope, me not intending anything, an email will be sent to my friend. Tomorrow, 10 o'clock, I'll meet you at Marble Arch Station there. Doesn't matter. You can sit there for 1 trillion zillion Googleplex years. This email would not be made and sent because you need to intend that transformation of your finger movements, hitting the keyboard and the keyboard typing it in that particular program.
But there
Unless
are plenty
you-
of things that happen without intention as we understand it.
We will test it, but let's deal with this first. If you do that, if you just sit there, would an email be automatically typed?
Yes,
It will never happen.
I can agree with that, yeah.
Yeah. So a transformation of this nature, meaningful nature, where there's information transfer.
Yeah.
Information transfer from your head, your intelligence, your brain, your thinking, your thought processes, that I'm going to meet you tomorrow at 10 o'clock at Marble Arch over there. That information is to transfer through your fingers, keyboard, going to the processor, and into a word processor or an email, Outlook, whatever it might be.
Yes.
It will never happen unless you intend through this kind of transfer process.
I can totally agree with
This
that.
universe is undergoing transformation.
Yes.
If there's nothing as an agency which has
Sentient agency.
sentient thing, which has intentionality and volition, willing to transform, nothing will happen. No transformation will happen.
In other
Why?
words, the
Because
term
you
will,
need
it
this.
should have a will to make changes.
Yeah, I don't quite
Give an example of
follow
transformation. Give an example of transformation happens without anyone intending it with this kind of precision.
What?
Evolution is not.
No precision.
Evolution is not done by someone who is intelligent. Evolution doesn't have consciousness, doesn't have neurons and synapses and brains and nothing.
Well, to be fair,
not
you asked
intelligence.
for something without those exact characteristics.
No, I'm saying what you're saying, you are giving me something that we consider to be a fairy tale for obvious reasons. Evolution is just simply a description of a process. But the process that you are ascribing to what? Something that doesn't have a brain,
Yes.
doesn't have consciousness. Then how can it, evolution, drive transformation of change?
No worries.
How can evolution without a conscious entity drive any transformation of change when itself is not? Give another example. If you're sitting there in your kitchen, do you think you can make some good pasta? Getting these ingredients from this cupboard here and there without
You are aware that crystals grow, right?
crystals grow because of a law embedded and operating within this physical universe. That's why
Yes.
you may
And
not be aware
so
of this.
Does
law.
DNA?
No, DNA is a specific program. It just doesn't self-assemble by itself. It's a program by a programmer. This is where we
Well, I
disagree
mean, some-
profoundly with blind evolutionists when they are simply totally blind to the evidence. Look, when you have
I just wanted to mention DNA. I just want to give you an analogy. I mean, imagine you go to a beach and you see somebody wrote on the beach a word, for example.
Yeah.
What's your name?
Asking.
Askin. Yeah, let's say Askin plays football.
Yeah.
What would you assume?
wind
I mean,
and
that somebody has
temperature.
written it, of course.
Why?
Really?
Why? It's the wind. It's the wind that did it.
Sure.
Yeah.
It is
Imagine now.
certainly possible that some sort
Imagine
of
now it's a whole
earthquake or
it's
wind
it's a whole letter saying, Esker, thank you so much for speaking to Mansur, me, in Speaker's Corner on a Sunday. What's the date today? 28th of July 2024. We had a nice conversation about following things. We were in the corner, and next to us were 2 police cars over there. And I really like the conversation you had. Now, if you have that piece of information inscribed in sand, of course you will believe it just happened by all this wind movement and...
It's less complex than the DNA.
Yeah, why not?
You know how many letters are there?
I'm
Why
sorry.
not? Why would you not believe in it?
What do you mean it's less complex?
Okay,
than that?
I'll explain that.
Okay.
So Askin plays...
The complexity that we have in the DNA decoding...
Yes.
Wait, Mansur, I'm coming to that.
Oh, sure. It's beyond the writing.
No,
is
I'll
what
tell
you're
you why.
saying.
I'll tell you why. Askin plays football. Let's say it's like, what, 20 letters? Yeah, at most? And you say, you will assume that the only logical, plausible explanation is somebody wrote it.
I'm not saying the only one, but I'm saying if I
Plausible.
had to, yeah.
What is a plausible explanation, other than someone wrote it?
It's possible that
Plausible.
throughout all of the,
Yeah.
cosmos, that this exact constellation of words has randomly happened from meteor impacts or whatever.
So you think that name of yours and their adjective and the words and they're playing football and so on, you think that is there since what? How long? How many years ago?
That's not the point. The point is I'm saying that throughout the vast expanses of the
My
universe,
question
the
to
vast
you is, what is
expanses
a
of
plausible
time,
explanation?
the plausible explanation or the
Your-
most likely explanation
Yes.
for sure is
Is-
that somebody wrote it.
Good. Now, can there be another explanation to that, other than somebody wrote it?
Well, as I said,
So you need a sentient agent, am I right?
no.
To do that,
Yes.
you need
to,
a
to
sentient
write
agent,
it, yes.
which is what Mansur was explaining to you
However,
earlier.
in
No, wait. Now, before we go to
1/billionth of a billionth of a billionth of a billionth
Yeah.
of cases,
what?
that constellation could have happened from some
Well,
random
randomly.
earthquake or whatever.
I don't think any scientist will agree with that.
It's a fairy tale.
No, of course they would.
It's a fairy tale
all-
rejected by
all-
statistics.
All science
First
is
and
based
foremost-
on probability.
Askin didn't exist billions of years ago. So it would take billions and millions of years, even for your probability to
But
come true.
I'm saying that if a random earthquake has happened on Mars or
This is clutching at
one of the
straws.
moons
Is
of
there-
Europa or
is
whatever.
is there a limit of chance probability what it can do?
Sorry?
Is there a limit of chance probability? By chance,
no,
by chance,
there
is
is
everything
not, like-
possible. Let me ask you this question
Yes, of
quite
course.
simply. By chance, is everything possible, including you becoming a cabbage?
Well, becoming a cabbage, maybe, but you cannot, out there, anywhere in the cosmos, have such a thing as
No.
a round triangle.
You
That will not form. because
you
that's a
can turn
contradiction in
into a
terms.
cabbage given enough time.
Well, I mean, don't you?
I'm asking you, what do you think? Is it possible?
If you die in your orchard,
No.
will you not
No.
turn into soil? Will you not turn
Not
into
that,
a
not,
cabbage?
not this kind of things, but really
What-
turning
then
into
what
a
are you
cabbage.
talking about?
Really turning into
I didn't know you would
transformation.
backwards as well.
Turning into a cabbage, just like that. You as a human being, and that cabbage.
So you believe in devolution
I mean,
as well?
there are laws of the universe that probably prevent this from happening in that exact same way. But
What
like,
laws? What laws? Where did those come from? The universe is just there. It has some laws that we have discovered. So now it's like, and you become a cabbage. Why not?
well, you're doing your very best to
No,
describe
I'm
magic.
not. I'm not.
No, that's
That's
what
what
you did.
scientists and evolutionists
No, that's
blindly
what you did
believe.
earlier for the-
You
for the
believe in
letters.
magic.
The
That's
letters, you did exactly the same thing.
I'm sorry, I don't understand.
You said through the chance of probability.
Yes.
That phrase which I mentioned. Sorry, what was the name again?
Dave.
Ask it.
Askin. Yeah, Askin plays football could have come about. Am I right? So
Yes.
that is magic. What you said was magic.
I mean,
You're going against your own principle now.
okay. Let me put it this way.
Okay.
Something like that happening.
Magic.
The likelihood of,
Bro, it's magic, come on.
something being written there from a random formation of crystals growing into each other,
No,
or
a whole
earthquakes, or
whole conversation. Like I said,
Yeah.
we met in Speaker's Corner, and then we had a nice conversation. There was
yeah.
two police
but
vehicles
you see what
there.
you're doing. You're making it less and less likely until
What
I'm
I'm
forced
saying
to
is
say something
no,
like.
What I'm saying is I'm
So
giving
by the
you.
way, do you know
You
why
are-
I mentioned beach?
we are-
Because whatever you write on the beach doesn't stay for very long. So even his chance probability probably needs, I don't know how many million years.
It just doesn't really matter. It's such
You know, it wouldn't-
astronomically unlikely.
It wouldn't stay on the beach.
But
If it took that long, it would, the words wouldn't form that. But anyway, look,
you do
know,
see that something like life coming around on
No,
Earth.
but that is magic. That's what I'm saying. What you're talking about is magic. What we are talking about is rational. Is a rational process for which you need a sentient agent in order to bring. Just like you said, the most probable thing who wrote that letters on the beach
Yeah.
is a sentient being. Am I right?
Well, yes, but
Okay, that was your answer. So I'm going with that.
Yeah,
I'm going with the most probable
But
and the
listen,
most
you're
plausible.
twisting
But
my
you're
words
going,
a little bit.
you're going with magic. So I don't know which one to believe now. Magic or
What-
the most plausible?
what I'm saying is, You seem to be trying to drag me into
not. I'm going based on
less
your response.
and less probable outcomes.
No, I'm
and
going
we
based
can
on your
agree.
approach.
We can agree that the less probable something is, the more intuitive it will feel that something came along and did it.
The mo-
Like some sort of
the less-
alien or some sort of prior civilization.
The letter and
or
the
a god
letter in the
or-
beach compared to your DNA coding, which is more complex and organized.
Well, of course, the DNA coding.
That DNA coding can come by itself, but the letter,
Well, what I'm telling you is, you have this whole vast universe with I don't know how many billions of planets. You
And?
have
so what? Given
billions-
enough,
you have
given enough billions of
years-
planets.
Exactly.
Actually,
well,
no,
if the
what would it
numbers
do?
are big enough,
Do what?
Mansur, wait,
if
wait.
the
You
nu-
mentioned numbers.
if the numbers are
Do you
big
know how
enough,
many- do you know how many
it's
cells
very
are-
unlikely to win the lottery, right?
Do you know how
but
many-
if you have billions of people over billions of years, of course somebody will win the lottery at some point.
That's
no
not how
matter
it-
how unlikely
The
it is.
comparison is totally unjustified. It doesn't follow.
Wait,
We're
wait.
talking
I'm
about
sorry, I-
we're talking about information.
Do you know how many cells are in your body?
I have no idea.
Trillions.
Trillions, yeah.
Trillions, okay.
It's certainly on that scale, yeah.
Okay.
Or
The longest.
billions,
Do you know the longest word in the universe is found in your body? The longest word ever discovered
No,
is in your body.
the DNA molecule.
Yes.
What do you mean? Yeah,
Yes. You know how long the word is?
yeah. No, but fortunately it's only an alphabet of 4
Give-
letters.
Yeah, give me an idea. How long do you reckon
Ah,
it
that is a good question. We must be, I don't know,
is? Shall I tell you?
is it a million or something?
3.4 billion letters. Yes. The genetic code, and this is all scientific evidence.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's not something which is we are just making up. 3.4 billion, and that too arranged in every single human on the body. Sorry, on the earth.
Yes.
Yes, it's the same order. Now, what are the chances of that, my friend? Let alone the few letters written or few words written on a beach.
The chances of that are exceedingly low.
It's exceedingly.
But it's possible. You're saying it's still possible.
Infinitesimally
Just like,
low.
just
And I
like,
think that's
just like,
completely correct.
just like you can turn
However,
into a
we
cabbage,
have
which is
billions of
possible.
years.
You can turn
We
into a
have
tomato,
billions
it's
of
possible.
planets.
You can turn into a worm, it's possible. You see, this kind of, given enough time, everything is possible, is something not well thought of and well thought out. Given enough times, everything is possible. That means you can be everything. Everything.
Following certain principles of what we understand about physics, of course. You see what I mean? Like,
For a self-replicating entity to appear, such as a crystal, right?
I think he's
Crystals-
misunderstanding between an agency and the mechanism. There's a big difference between the two.
Yes, well,
Just
you
because
guys are assuming there's an agency behind
no,
the
I'll
mechanism.
tell you. I'll give an example with analogy.
Oh, you disagree, or?
Imagine you build a car. Yes, you'll be able to understand and explain all the processes behind it.
Mm-hmm.
All the mechanisms within the car doesn't mean it doesn't have an intelligent agent who actually made the car.
Of course.
So just
Designed
because you
it and
understand,
sorted
you know,
out,
you
yeah.
keep mentioning crystals and all that, that's mechanism. It doesn't tell you that there is no agent behind it which brought all of this into existence.
However,
in the
that's
first
a
place.
natural mechanism.
Oh, natural means what?
Well, natural means that
Popped
in,
into-
in this case that it happened
Do you accept-
before any humans interfered with it.
Do you accept forensic science?
Doesn't have to be.
forensic science, you mean for solving murders and that sort of
Yeah.
thing? Of course, yes.
You shouldn't.
Well, I mean,
You shouldn't. Why
It's-
should you?
it's based
it
on
could
probability.
be. No, it could be by chance. Naturally, it happened. It-
Of course, yeah. And,
so you
and
cannot
people
blame
will go
anyone.
to jail all the time.
No, you
for
cannot.
things
You
that,
cannot send anyone to jail because there's one chance out of billion possibilities. This happens naturally.
Oh, I don't agree with that.
You have
Why
been
not?
explaining.
Why are you
mechanism all this
inconsistent? There's always one chance this happened naturally.
yes, but I do not think that the standard of sending people to prison is
Who cares about sending to prison?
100%
No. Who cares about sending people to prison?
All along the lines of 99%.
We don't
certainty.
care about sending people to prison or not, because chance probability explains that everything is possible by chance. That means a murder that happened is possible, it's all by chance, natural processes. You cannot be sure that this didn't happen by chance.
Of course, it could
Yeah.
be that a guy had an aneurysm
No.
at the same time that
No.
he was hit, and now he's sending an innocent man
the
to jail.
knife that you see in the hand of the criminal, it just happened by chance. He had nothing to do with it. And then it just went and stabbed, happened by chance, but naturally. He had nothing to do with it. You cannot blame anyone, my friend. It just happened by chance.
well, that would
Natural processes. Why should you?
Don't you think that a great many people have gone to prison for
No.
accidentally stopping something?
No, I am saying, this idea.
You do understand that
No,
this
what,
one stuff happens
what I'm
thousands of times
saying,
in our
I
history.
am pointing out the hypocrisy of chance probability. It's possible when it comes to cosmos and reality, but when it comes to forensic science and murder, no. That's intentional murder.
But I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying it's totally possible that many of the people that
Why
we
do
send to
you,
prison...
if you're a judge, why would you send anyone to the prison?
No, sorry. Are you talking about accidental crimes? Is that what you're talking
I'm
about?
not talking about accidental. I'm saying,
No, what is he talking about? I want to know. Are you talking about deliberate first-degree murders? Or you're talking about manslaughter, which is not deliberate, but it happens that the person died? Which one are you talking about?
Well, listen, what you are saying is that we're sending people to jail. Like I shouldn't send anyone to jail if I'm not completely sure that they are responsible, right?
I'm saying there's
However-
1% chance that all of these things happened naturally. So the knife that you see on the victim's criminal's hand
Yes.
and stabbing the victim,
Yes.
the criminal had nothing to do with it. It just naturally
Exactly.
happened.
It is beyond his intent.
Yeah.
Yes, that happens. Surely
Yeah.
you understand
So
that
I'm
we have
saying
sent thousands
every
of people
single
to prison in
murder
every
there's a
country.
probability.
Is that like a small percentage or the majority? Which one is it? The chance.
Well, I mean,
There's always one chance that it wasn't done by intention. So you cannot punish anyone.
So you shouldn't. If it's by
Can't
chance,
punish
the
anyone.
person shouldn't be accountable. Then. Why should he even go to jail?
Because it's that one
I am
chance
not-
I'm talking
I-
about
Yeah,
that
lost.
happened.
look, there's a difference between trying to have a justice system, however imperfect.
We don't need a justice system. We want to understand the reality of
No. Even
the
in
world
an
is
imperfect justice system,
chance
you
probability.
will only hold someone accountable if they had some voluntary role to play.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yes.
so what he's telling is not about voluntary, it's not about something which just happens
Yes.
by chance.
I'm saying you cannot establish whether it's voluntary, intentional, or by natural processes. Saying every single murder that happened and is going to happen,
you just
there's
give it-
always a chance that it
Yes.
happened naturally.
Yeah.
So why would you send
Well,
anyone to jail?
We're walking into the territory, I don't know if you're aiming for this, of whether or not we have free will and that sort of thing.
I will go into every territory to dismantle evolution. And that's what I do. Why so? Because the idea of evolution is so inconsistent that when it's convenient, it says it's by chance. When it's not convenient, it's by intention.
I
That's
don't
the
think
hypocrisy.
I have been hypocritical here.
Not you. That's what the scientists
but
do.
the
Evolutionary
scientists
scientists are
have,
hypocritical
not
in the sense that when it's convenient for them, they will say, yes, the whole biological organisms, they all come by chance. Even though it's 1 in a billion chance, but it happened by chance.
I think the example of DNA is quite
Do you know,
obvious.
okay, do you know in our human body, there are actually like gears? Have you seen it? You know the gears in a watch, right?
I'm not quite sure I've seen that on a human level, but
They're exactly like that. So you
it
have,
wouldn't surprise me in the least that they're a very
yeah.
knuckle brass physical.
Yeah, it fits
entities,
in like this. Like you have a cog. When I say gears, it's like a one cog is another cog, and it fits in like this. And this is
Yes.
how it operates.
And
on
also
that
the
level.
proteins hit each other in certain
Proteins,
ways. and-
yes.
yeah.
What did the evolutionists say? It's all by chance. It's just
Because
one
they can't
chance,
explain it, they say it's by chance.
all by chance. I am saying this is a direct evidence in front of you that this is design, and you're saying it's chance.
Well, I mean,
So you can
there
bring.
are levels of chance. Of course, it's on one level chance that life we have life at all.
There is
but,
no such thing as chance.
but we have other levels of.
Esker, there is no such thing as chance. There is no such thing. Give me an example of a chance. There is no such thing as chance.
Or even random.
There is no such thing as chance.
Because you
When you flick a coin,
predestiny, for instance.
no, I'm not bringing Billion. I'm dismantling this concept of chance. If you flick a coin,
Yes.
is it by chance? It's head or tail or on the side?
No, of course. If you knew all the motion and all the physics involved, you would be able to.
So
predict
there is
this,
no
of course.
chance then. It's our inability, our ignorance of all the factors that are involved to
Yes.
predict how it's going to be, and
That
we
is
ascribe that to chance.
Indeed, the
Right.
the level
So-
at which I'm talking
so
about
in
chance
this
is
reality-
throughout our ability to understand.
So
it, yes.
in our reality, there is no such thing as chance. It's our ignorance of the reality.
Possibly. I don't know on a very deeply, say,
just-
physical level, the Einstein...
You know, just like the example of the car I gave you, just because you understand the mechanism, it doesn't mean you rule out the who behind it. Yes? The one who actually created the car.
Yes.
Just because you understand all the mechanism. Let's say even if you understood the mechanism of evolution, it doesn't mean there's no sentient agent behind it. And I'm not saying the
That
sentient
was the
agent.
same thing we talked about with the Big Bang. It's
Yeah,
totally possible
I'm not saying
that
the
there was
sentient
something
agent is
behind it.
human either.
However, it is a very dissatisfactory explanation because it assumes much and it explains very little.
No, it's the other way around.
No.
Because the thing is, for you to, I gave you the example of the DNA, the 3.4 billion letters in that word. Yes, it shows you that this is not something by chance. And there's no way in every human being you'll have the same order of that big word in it. In every cell, which is trillions, like you said. I'm talking about just one cell from those trillions. And each cell having 3.4 billion long letters. Yes?
Yes.
I mean, look, come on. If you're going to say that this is something just by chance, then there is no chance. Forget about even billions, trillions, whatever you call it. Because that is just speculation.
Well,
what I'm telling you
by
is
certain
based on
principles.
observable evidence, which you mentioned as empirical evidence. So I'm saying there's no way for you to say this is all by chance. To such fine-tuned within every cell, it's impossible.
Listen, yeah, it depends on what we mean by chance. As you said with the example of the coin, right? There is, to me, it is chance if we flip a coin. To the
you?
trained physicist, to me, because
but
I don't know the outcome.
You don't need to be a physicist to know that that is not chance. Like you mentioned already clearly, that you have to know the factors involved in that flipping of the
But
coin.
are you saying casinos don't work then?
Casinos do work, but everyone doesn't have the ability to factor in all the different
Exactly.
factors.
So it is chance to me whether or not the next card is.
Yeah,
card
when you
ace
say
of
chances,
spades.
you're saying I'm ignorant of
I
all
don't
the
know the
factors.
factors.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you call that chance. When it's actually not chance, it's
Well,
your ignorance of
we call
the
that chance
factors.
when it's based on probability.
No.
Do you see what I mean?
If you knew all the mechanics,
Yes.
you would know what number was going to come out.
Of course,
It's-
yes.
Yeah. So it's your ignorance of all the mechanics involved.
And indeed, there are people making a living out of counting cards in casinos and that
Because
kind of
everyone
thing.
doesn't
because-
have the faculty to incorporate all the different factors to make sure that this card is picked or that coin is flipped or blue color or red color, I don't know, whatever is in the
Like for
casinos.
example, when you roll a dice,
Yes.
you can have people roll a dice, it's 6 all the time. It's a good dice because
Yes.
they would know exactly at what strength, from what height, and
how
from
to use the rings
exactly.
and so on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's not the factors.
It's not
people-
for everyone, but some people can do it.
Yeah. So coming back to the issues of transformation, if you don't have a willing agent to transform to a precise engineering information transfer to another information which is precise, you can't just simply accept that blindly because it will be nonsensical. It's like believing in magic. So just like you cannot, for example, sit there and expect all this assembly to happen. Just like think about making your pasta.
Yeah.
Assembly is a precision assembly.
Yes.
And a particular word. If you sit there as someone with ability and power,
Yeah.
like the universe has power somehow embedded within its physical realities.
Yes.
But if there's no intentionality, still the assembly will not happen. So transformation is an assembly. That transformation will not happen unless you have this intentionality by a willing agent. That's why we say there is a creator, designer who has volition.
This is exactly what doesn't track for me.
Why not?
It's totally possible to have.
Give an example that things happens without intentionality, without any
Well, I mean,
willing.
if you believe that everything happens with intentionality,
Actually,
of course, by
I wanna go
definition,
back
I
to the
won't be able
question
to give
about
you
where
an
did the universe
example.
come from. For you, where did the universe come from?
Well, again, I'm not,
Not
the
magic,
best
right?
physicist in the world,
Not
but
magic,
there
right?
will be some sort of Big Bang explanation, and
But that would be the cause. Sorry, that would be the effect, not the cause. What is
well,
the cause
I
of
mean,
the-
I don't know that there is a cause.
Why?
I can only measure the effects.
Using-
I don't know. I don't know if we can sit down and measure anyone's intentionality around this.
No, I'm saying based on inference, if you look around everything in this universe,
Yes.
there's a cause and effect. So if there is an effect, there ought to be a cause. And that is specifically for everything that begins to exist. There must be a cause.
Well, the
This
cause.
is something observable in the universe. So you can't just say, this is something we just made up. This is scientists use this as inference when they observe and they want to deduce things. you know?
Yes. Well, if you're asking what caused the Big Bang, I don't know. I don't know if anyone.
Give me
knows.
some plausible explanation.
Oh,
Magic.
Okay, I'll give you some.
I mean,
Tell me if you agree or disagree. The universe caused itself. Is that possible?
well, as far as I know, yes.
It didn't exist. How will it cause itself?
Because apparently matter can appear materialize, or what we understand as matter can
Misunderstanding,
materialize out of nothing.
total misunderstanding
Where did you read
of
that?
quantum
What do you mean?
Where
mechanics.
did you read that matter just appears like that?
Total
Well, it
misunderstanding
came from the Big Bang.
No, that's what. But my question is about the Big Bang.
about the Big Bang.
Yes.
So you're talking about what happened after the Big Bang. I'm talking about before that.
Yes, but since time and space
By the way,
is
do you
sort
know
of intertwined.
based on the scientists, do you know how long after matter actually came into existence?
Oh no, I don't know, billions of years or whatever.
400 million years after the actual explosion.
Yes.
Okay. So now
But-
once again, the question is, where did the universe come from? Give me some plausible explanations.
It's either always there, came from nothingness, it came from something,
Of course, itself.
of course itself.
Yeah, but it's also possible that it's
No, which one of these?
a
four-
science experiment by sufficiently advanced aliens or something, or what you might call a god. I mean,
Yeah, something
I'm
else.
not ruling that
By
out.
something else,
but it's
something else, right?
Something outside.
Something
the
else
universe.
outside the universe.
And I understand you'd be very happy with that explanation, but
No,
but
we
you
want
don't
your answer.
necessarily.
We don't want you to
need
make us
it.
happy.
You
Give us
understand?
the
right?
logical answer.
Yeah.
Plausible possibilities, and then you analyze each one, which one is rational to accept.
Yes,
Okay.
but you won't know one way or the other whether or not
would
it caused
know.
itself.
Let me take one of the plausible
Universe from
explanations.
nothing, for
Yeah.
example, nothing made it. Nothing.
Would that be plausible?
As far as I have no information to counter that.
Okay. Do you know what is nothing?
No.
Okay. Do you know if nothing exists?
If the conditions at which nothing exists, I wouldn't be there to know.
No, but you don't know what's nothing, so you can't know the conditions.
Well, I can't know what it is exactly.
Okay.
Absence of
nothing-
everything.
Nothing is. It doesn't exist.
Well,
Absolute nothingness does not exist.
whatever
It's an idea. It's a concept.
Sure, but like it's also a
It's like a
physical
zero
reality
in your number system. It's like
in
a
some-
zero.
I
Okay.
mean, you can say if you have two atoms next to each other, there's something in between. What is that? That's
Yeah, but-
nothing as far as we know.
It's not nothing.
It is,
No,
It's
no,
not
no.
nothing.
it is
It's something.
something that has
It's
no
something.
matter.
That's
It's
the force of
something.
attraction.
What do you mean it's something?
Look, there are quantum fields operating. There's vacuum.
Yes.
Even if you take all the particles out and so on, there's still fields.
Yes, but you could also have a wave in water. However, the water is not the wave.
So I'm saying,
It's something that
If you-
happens
if
in
you
a
have-
field.
if you-
Actually, between the two atoms, do you think there is space?
Well,
space
to
is
be.
something,
Yes, of
not
course.
nothing.
So space is not nothing.
Space is
So I can
something.
discount your answer.
I'm sorry. Why is it not nothing?
Is space nothing?
From any definition of nothing, like if you can't find anything there,
No.
why is it not nothing?
Hold
What
on,
is
when you
space?
say-
What is space?
We have to go into.
Well, space is a way to measure some sort of,
That's time.
Sorry?
That's time. You're getting mixed up between the space-time continuum.
I don't.
By the
think I
way,
am.
did space exist before the Big Bang?
Apparently not.
Exactly. So when you talk about the two atoms, you're talking about something, not nothing. My question is once again about where did the
Oh, yeah,
universe
but
come
I
from?
wasn't talking
Which
about
means
two atoms. I was talking about whatever is
Yeah,
in
but I
between.
don't
and,
think-
you won't accept it. I don't understand
Mansur-
why this is a
Mansur
problem.
mentioned-
No physicist
quantum-
will say
quantum
there's
fields.
nothing in between these two atoms. There's always something. There's quantum
Well,
fields.
what?
Quantum fields.
Quantum field is
Yes,
something.
and there's an attraction between the atoms, but
No.
that doesn't mean that
A
that's
field is not
integral to
nothing.
the
A
space.
field is not nothing. Quantum
Attraction is different
fluctuation
from
and
quantum
fields
field.
are not nothing. They are something.
Yes, okay, but then I can accept that definition of nothing, but then
That is
what,
not nothing.
What?
Nothing is the absence of everything.
Actually, when I asked
absence
you for
of
the
fields.
definition, you said you didn't know what nothing was.
Well, I mean, but I'm grasping for a definition that you'll be happy
Okay,
with here.
let's help him.
Nothing-
There are nine levels of nothingness.
Okay.
And we are talking about level 9. Level 9 nothingness is
Absolute
absence of all potentialities and possibilities of anything and everything.
So without any laws of physics, for instance.
Yeah, laws of physics doesn't
Absolute
exist in that level.
nothingness.
Absolute
Okay.
nothingness. That's level 9.
I don't know if we need that for any particular thing, do we?
Now, we
If you're talking about the
consider this nothingness as a metaphysical nothing, which is absence of everything.
If you're talking
And
pre-Big
that
Bang,
absolute nothingness cannot make anything, cannot do anything.
That would probably be true, yes.
Yeah, so that means-
I see the reasoning there.
That
for
means
sure.
there cannot be nothingness like that at any one
breaks the-
point, because if there was nothingness like this, there's always will remain
Of course,
nothingness.
but what most people would consider nothing, which is
No,
the
we-
absence
we're
of
not
any sort of matter.
We're not talking about colloquial understanding of nothingness. We're now really delving really deep with understanding what
Well,
really
sorry,
is
I
nothingness.
have to then debate you whilst you're defining the terms as we
actually,
come along.
let's
It's a
use,
little
so
difficult.
You're saying nothingness to you means absence of matter, am I right?
Well, I mean, I'm perfectly happy to go with the definition of the ninth level of nothingness
how about
and
this?
accept that
Using
it
the
would
ninth
be
level-
impossible for anything to come out of
Yeah.
that. I see the reasoning there.
Nothing is the absence of everything. You can imagine, you can talk about, you can absence of
Yeah,
everything.
anything measurable for sure.
Everything, even imagination. Okay, so everything. That means when you think about nothing, you're probably thinking about something. So you can't even think about it. That's why we call it the absolute nothingness.
Okay.
Now, absolute nothingness cannot bring about something. Can it? Because it doesn't even exist.
No, but then presumably we had the, I don't know what level 8 is exactly, like some sort of zero matter, however, some sort of laws of physics that causes
No, but
things to come
we are still at the
into-
ninth level. So what I'm saying is that if you have absolute nothingness,
Yes, but I'm perfectly willing to concede to you that it's possible that there was no ninth level at any point. I mean, you may have that victory and go your merry way. It's
actually you're
totally
based.
possible.
No, we are giving you all the different possibilities. So in fact, I'm doing you a favor by explaining to you that these are the things that we can rule out.
Yes.
Your answer, your
very-
answer was basically I don't know, and to me that's not an answer. It's just pleading ignorance.
Well,
And there's nothing wrong in that, by the way. So
yeah,
I don't mean to.
we have to
Yeah,
own up to our shortcomings.
Yeah,
surely.
absolutely. Look, if I don't know an answer, I say I don't know. But that doesn't mean it's an answer. It just means
Well,
that
it doesn't mean it's a
it just
true
means-
answer.
No, it just means I'm ignorant of that answer. So I'm saying I don't know. But
Yes,
maybe somebody else
but
has an answer to that.
I can, however, tell your.
There's nothing
your
wrong
friends,
in
I'm
saying
sorry
I don't
for
know, by the way.
forgetting
So
name, but,
don't get me wrong.
So I can say that I accept the definitional.
But when we talk about nothing, for example, if I said I have nothing in my hand,
Yes.
what do you understand?
Well, that there is no physical object.
Yeah,
in
there's
my
no
hands.
matter in it.
Yeah,
Am
exactly.
I right?
And they
No.
would.
And that's the reason we have to give you
So
the
these are levels of
different levels
nothingness.
of nothing.
yeah? Number one level, no objects. Number two, level 2 nothingness is no air. It's like vacuum. Level 3, no cosmic rays, no neutrinos, no matter or particles. Level 4 is infrared, no infrared radiation, no magnetic fields of the Earth, no radiation and no fields. Level 5 nothingness, no cosmological constants and virtual particles. Okay, this is where level
Well,
when Lawrence Krauss talks about it. Level 6 nothingness is no space, no time, no laws of nature, no strings, no quantum gravity. Level 7, no non-physical entities. Level 8 is no abstract objects, maths, logic, sets, numbers, truths, falsehoods, platonic world of ideals. And level 9 is no possibilities whatsoever.
Okay. And which? This is from Lawrence Krauss, right?
No, this is from different philosophers. Sabine Hassenfelder, a German
Lawrence Krauss
physicist,
is nothing,
was
actually
inspired by Robert Lawrence Kuhn.
Very good. But I
You
don't know.
can read about it.
Do you know which level of nothingness that Sabine proposes there? Was there at the beginning of the Big Bang?
When people talk about nothingness, when Lawrence Krauss talks about nothingness, his nothingness is level 4.
I see.
It's actually something. His
And
nothing
something.
is something.
For sure. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't.
And he actually admits
I
it.
don't see that as a problem.
He admits
But,
it, that his nothing is something. Yeah?
Yes.
Even though he says the universe from nothing, but he admits this is something, which is quantum fields and quantum fluctuations.
Right.
So with a possibility where there was absolute nothingness, nothingness will always be. Because we are something, that excludes the possibility that there was absolute nothingness at one point.
But
So there was something then. That
But
means
I'm happy with a level 4
Something always
explanation
exists.
of nothingness for the purposes of this discussion.
no, if you say level 4, so now you have to explain. Either quantum fields always existed, or it had a beginning. If it always existed, again the question is it conscious to transform? Is it one possessor of intentionality and volition to transform things? Because when we're dealing with transformation, we need to ask, how does this thing, abstract laws or whatever entity you give, transform things without having intentionality or volition and the ability and the power as well as knowledge to transform things like that? All of these characteristics, volition, power and ability, and knowledge, are characteristics of a deity, a creator, God. Without these three elements,
one can say
you
that,
cannot have any transformation going. So essentially, rationally, you are already admitting that there is an agency with these characteristics which people ascribe to a creator, to God. So you're already accepting something which the theists already accept.
No, you're accepting pre-existing.
There has to be always something.
things.
No, there has to be always something. If something exists now, there always have to be something. You have no way of escaping that.
That
Something
is
exists now,
something I can
something
accept,
always has to
probably,
You
yes.
have
exist.
infinite regress.
Something always has to exist.
That's
You agree? There'll be infinite regress.
that's quite all right with me. It doesn't really. It's not really where the rubber hits the road, though, is it?
Infinite
For the
regress
question of whether
does
or
not
not there is
explain.
a God.
Infinite regress cannot explain our manifestation of our reality existence. Because if there were creators of our universe, and there are more creator created by another creator and so on, it goes infinitely, our creation will never take place.
Why not?
Okay, let me give you a backwards. You see, he's got books in his hand, right?
By the way, that's a gift for you.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you. So
We're
imagine
gonna
now.
put on
So
somebody
imagine now, this book needs to go to you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, an act to take place, an action of transformation of this to that. If between you and Hashim, there are infinite number of people, would these books ever come to your hand?
No.
If there are infinite number of creators, would that action take place of creating the universe? It will never come to that point. There has to be some infinity to be traversed, and infinity will never be traversed because there was someone there before this. Imagine now.
Well, now there's a difference
Let
between
me- let me-
being
let me help you out a
infinite
little bit.
between us.
Let me
If
help-
there's infinite, just give me a second here. If there's infinite between us, no, it'll never reach me.
Infinite
However,
number of people.
if there is an infinite, like gods above or gods below or whatever, also agreed. But if you were number two, if this God is God number two,
I am saying,
that is a possibility. Surely,
if there
right?
are infinite numbers of, like, look, this is a transformation that needs to happen from Hashim to you. That's
Yes.
good, right? Now, infinity in the middle is not going to make that transformation come to you. It's going to stop you from doing that. So imagine now this is actually the creation of our universe to come into existence. In between, there are infinite number of creators. This will not be. Just like the book that's not going to come to you,
because
it
of
will never transverse
time issue
all
or
of this.
because-
No, because
Because of the principle of infinite
infinite
regress.
creators, infinite regress. There you go.
I see.
It's one of the
See, now you got it. There was an infinite number of people. It just totally tells you between you and Hashim was never infinite number of people. Because if it was, it will never come to your hand. The fact that it came to your hand, the fact that the universe is here, is demonstrative of there is no infinite regress in the past. Think about it. I mean, you can see it's a well-known example in maths, physics, and philosophy. They talk about this quite a lot, infinite regress, and why infinite regress is not something that is possible in our universe for the existence of our reality of
All right,
cosmos.
I can look that up for sure. Is this a natural place to
Yeah,
to end the interview, or?
Let's,
Thank you very much.
pleasure speaking to you.
Appreciate it.
Talking to you both.
Pleasure
yeah.
talking to you. And do think about it, because we are Muslims, and as you can see, the belief that we have in our belief is something that is based on inference, based on all this rationalization of reality and making this step of acceptance, of surrendering to this acceptance of reality. It's not just simply blindly believing it, but huge internalization of rationalization of the reality, assessing it and then accepting it. There's a difference between other faith systems where they can just simply believe in it. Oh, that's it. But for us, no. We have to know for sure that there is a creator worthy of our worship, and nothing else is worthy of worship. فَعْلَمْ أَنَّهُ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهُ. Quran tells us. Know with certainty that there is no one worthy of worship except the one and only true God. So we have to exclude and reject all the things which are not worthy of worship, not God. This is not God, this is not God, this is not God. But we know that there is an originator, a transformer, who has maintained to this day after bringing this into existence. And this is where we say all our utmost reverence and our thanks and our glory goes to him.
Yes,
He is Allah, the Lord, originator of our cosmos.
I must say I'm not completely convinced by the conversation, but I very much
Think about it,
appreciate
reflect.
that you go about it in as logical a way as you,
You know what is
seem
one-
to be able to do.
what is
So,
one
thank you very
fact-
much.
Yo,
Do you know
Okay,
there's
you're
one
welcome.
fact which we all will agree whether we believe in God or not? There's one fact we can't deny. That one day we will die. Yes? Now, I don't know if you've thought about this. Maybe for next time we can discuss this. Do you think that our life ends there, or do you think there's a life after death?
Well, my ideas, and I can't know, of course, is that perhaps it's a little bit like before you were born.
What was there before you were born? You don't know?
Well, I mean,
You don't know?
I can look it up in books.
No, but like
My
I said,
parents were there, I think.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, I don't expect you to be like Jesus. But you see, that's what I'm saying. That's cause and effect.
Yes.
Yes. So just like there was something, if you think there was something before you were born, then there must also be something after you died. Because you
agree.
said it's like before you were born. Then I would assume.
But I'm
based
not
on
sure
your-
I will have any experience of it, is what I'm saying, like by that statement.
No, you will have the experience, but you won't come back to tell someone
Yeah,
about it.
that's possible.
It'll be too late then. They're saying, oh, you know what, I've wasted all my time. But
Well,
that's why we don't want to waste that time. We
We'll
want
all
to
see
make
in
up.
the end, won't we?
Take care, my friend.
Take care.
You take care. Nice meeting you. Assalamu alaikum.